The people that are out there either defending themselves from violent crime or defending others are now.
There was no violent crime.
He was threatening people.
No, but there was no violent crime. He didn't attack anyone.
He was
threatening
to.
Welcome to the Dark Times channel. Make sure you guys go ahead and hit that like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you enjoy the content, make sure you go ahead and do that as well. And so as you all know, the former United States Marine who strangled another individual on a subway was charged with manslaughter. And I came across this Newsmax panel. And for those of you who are not familiar with Newsmax, Newsmax is a very right-wing conservative network who spends a great deal of time stirring the audience up, much like Fox News does. They primarily focus and exaggerate black criminality, much like Fox News, but they do it 10 times worse. And so it seems like every year now we get an incident much like this. It seems like almost every year, like clockwork, there's another incident. And I'm not going to go too heavy on this particular platform as to why that is. At this point, like I always say, if you know, you know. There's no more spelling it out for people. Those days are long gone. And so if you know, you know. But I want you guys to pay attention to this video that I'm about to play and how everybody on this panel, except for the brother on this panel, disregards logic and disregards any kind of sensibilities when it comes to this particular situation and situations like this. I'm going to go ahead and let the clip play, and then of course I'll chime in.
The people that are out there either defending themselves from violent crime or defending others are now.
There was no violent crime.
He was threatening people.
No, but there was no violent crime. He didn't attack anyone.
He was threatening to attack people.
Again,
he was threatening to attack.
Violent crime means somebody was attacked. Nobody was attacked. You go, if someone looks at me wrong or screams at me, should I kill them? Should I choke them to death? Should I come up behind them and put them in a rear naked choke?
Probably, if he's threatening to murder people on a subway train.
He did not threaten.
He did threaten to kill people. He said he was hungry. He threatened to kill people.
I think you're omitting a couple of key elements.
Being mentally ill is not a crime.
Well, he wasn't.
Being hungry is not a crime. Being homeless is not a crime.
No, threatening to murder people.
We absolutely have a mental health crisis. That's a fact.
We need to address the homeless situation.
Absolutely.
It's so frightening to walk down the street and you have somebody who's either on something or severely mentally ill, and we're just supposed to look away and act like nothing's happening, or if somebody is getting right up in our face, ignore it. We're afraid to act.
And so before I give my take and before I dive in, just to give you a little insight on Newsmax and some of the guests that they have on their panel. This lady right here, she was a former governor candidate for the state of Arizona. And this clip right here will let you know exactly what time it is with her.
20. Do you still believe that?
I believe Biden is the president just like OJ is innocent.
She believes President Biden just like she believes OJ is innocent. And notice how cavalier and smug she was when she said that, knowing good and well she was talking to a so-called black woman. Nobody asked her anything about OJ. She was asked a direct question about the president of the United States. And I'm not a Biden or a Trump supporter, so I'm not biased in the least. But to bring up OJ as an example, or to bring up OJ to try to get your point across, this speaks to the level of anti-black hatred and racism this former governor candidate had. And I think she almost won. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she almost won. It was a pretty tight race. So I believe it was one racist going against another racist, as it usually is. So that should tell you what time it is when it comes to Newsmax. And so the brother on this panel was absolutely correct. And I had this same conversation with somebody the other day. Call it a water cooler conversation. And these are conversations I never shy away from. You know, if somebody in the dominant society wants to bring this conversation up at work or be that where it may, I don't shy away from it. I welcome it. And it's not on a tip where I want to do it, just to be argumentative. It's one of those things where you can have a little bit of pride. Because first off, anybody within the dominant society that brings this conversation up with you, right off the bat, it shows a lack of respect they have for you. They don't think that you can intellectually hold your own in a conversation like this. They want you to get over emotional and react. And so I welcome these conversations. And so I had a conversation like this the other day, like I said, and it was very similar to this. They were probably a Fox News watcher or a Newsmax watcher. The lady said to me, you know, what do you think about that whole situation on the subway in New York? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that crazy guy was trying to, attack all those people, and the Marine had to subdue him. Unfortunately, the guy didn't make it, but, the guy was going to hurt a lot of people. I said, wait a minute right there. It's a slippery slope. With all these Karens, female Karens, male Karens going around each and every day, getting up in people's faces, I said, that's a slippery slope, because at any given time, an individual can feel threatened by that. And if one person has the right to be a vigilante and take matters into his own hand, then so does the next person. And so I said it was a slippery slope. And she said, well, he had a violent history. I said, nobody on that train knew about his violent history. No way, no how that should come into play. I said, that's just like a bouncer at a nightclub. He gets a customer who has a little bit too much to drink and starts cussing, and maybe he starts threatening people. Now that bouncer has a responsibility to the club. He has a responsibility to get that guy out and to make sure that nobody gets hurt, including the guy that he's trying to take outside, including the guy that he's trying to subdue. You can't just take a person that may be threatening somebody, and I'll put that in parentheses, maybe, because we don't know yet. I'm pretty sure when the tape comes out, if the tape comes out, I'm pretty sure it's going to show that he wasn't threatening anybody, at least not in the manner that they're suggesting. And even if he was, like I said, there's no weapon. The guy looks like he weighs about $150 at best. And so the bouncer has a responsibility to make sure that nobody gets hurt, including the guy that he's trying to take out. And if for some reason the bouncer does injure somebody and they wind up losing their life, guess what? That bouncer is going to be held accountable. His job is not to strangle the life out of somebody. His job is to subdue somebody who's being unruly. That's his job. And the fact that this guy's a former United States Marine makes it that much more clear cut. This guy is literally trained to do this. His job and his life depended on knowing stuff like this. So being that this guy is a Marine, you would think that it would be a little more clear cut in a lot of these people's minds. And it is. It is clear cut. And of course, she just changed the subject like they normally do. And that's why I welcome conversations like that from people within the dominant society. Because if nothing else, it's going to give you a sense of pride. To have an intellectual conversation and not get emotional and have the other person have to run from at the end of the conversation because they know they can't beat you. They can't beat your logic because they know they don't stand on truth at the end of the day. They're just trying to see if you know a little bit. And then once you show them that you do, 9 times out of 10, they can't take it and they run. And so I think that's going to be a good spot to end. But definitely let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Is this a conversation that you've had with somebody in the dominant society? And if so, what was the outcome? Let me know in the comment sections below. And as usual, peace and chaos.